Hi everyone, it's Mr. Thomas. Hope you're doing good. Today we're going to learn about animal digestive systems. So on your next new page, if you could write animal digestive systems, go ahead and copy that into your table of contents and we'll get started. For this particular set of notes, you'll need 4 colored pencils. It doesn't matter which color you use. I'm using a blue, a red, a green, and an orange, but you can pick out whatever colored pencils you want to take notes with, because I'm going to color my notes as you see with the drawing that I start with. The first digestive system that I'm going to start with is that of ruminant animals. So ruminant digestive systems are those systems that have 4 chambers in their stomach. So go ahead and write 4 chambered stomach. These animals have a 4-chambered stomach, and a lot of people think it's they have 4 stomachs, which is incorrect. Just like we have 4 valves or 4 chambers of our heart, these animals actually have 1 stomach but 4 different chambers. So an example of this would be cattle, deer, goats, and sheep also have 4-chambered stomachs. So these are what we call ruminant animals. And we're going to draw a big picture of a ruminant animal. A characteristic of all these animals is that they can eat things that we can't eat. So they have the ability to eat heavy fibrous material like sticks and twigs, and even in some cases trash. Cows are great recyclers. They can eat all kinds of things, paper waste that we can't eat. So I'm going to have you draw a really big stomach. You're going to need a lot of room for this in the middle of your notes here, so leave a ton of lines for the space. And it's going to be complicated, so I'm going to draw it part by part so that you don't get confused. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the esophagus for our stomach here. So I'm going to draw what looks like a pipe, like this, and then I'm going to draw a big chamber, the biggest chamber, and this chamber is really going to be and fill most of our drawing. So I'm going to draw a big chamber like this, and I'm going to so it's going to look almost like a comic book call out window. Like you can have text in there like a comic book, but that's going to be the biggest part of our stomach that we call the rumen. Okay. Also, I am going to draw another portion of the stomach beyond that. So I'm going to have you make a little semicircle like right here. And we're going to draw almost a full circle, like a basketball shape around it. But we're not going to kind of like that, okay? So draw that, and then just put a tiny circle right there. And then we are going to draw from there an opening to another portion of the stomach. going to connect to the intestines. So once we get to the intestines, I'm going to have you draw some undulating portions and kind of going out the back end. Okay. So just to show that this is a cow's stomach, I'm going to have you draw something that kind of feeds behind it. So let's go ahead and draw the rest of the cow so that we know this is a cow. So in order to do that, we're going to draw more or less an outline here of its body. So I'm going to square it off here. I'm going to draw down. And this is going to be its neck. So we'll draw more or less the neck coming like this. Down here. Let's make an ear here. And let's draw some legs here. So I'm gonna have you draw down here some legs. Something like that. Okay. And let's kind of finish off the body here. Draw a hind leg here. And if this one is, so let's do something like that. Okay. So this is our kind of our cow. Just give it a little, maybe give it a little tail. You know. Okay. And I don't know, maybe to make it three-dimensional, we'll put another leg back there. Superhose behind. Guess we can make an udder. It's a cow. It probably should be between there, but make an udder there. Right, and then, no, I don't know if we can squeeze another leg in here or not, but if we can, probably making that worse, but make a little eye there, and maybe a little nose, I don't know. So we got our cow. Okay, so here's our cow, just so we know it's a cow. And if you have trouble drawing this, I'll include something afterwards that you can trace. But try your best to draw it, because it's always better to remember things if you drew it yourself, just to get a good learning practice. All right, so let's talk about the different parts of the cow's stomach. The first part that we need to identify is the rumen itself. That's why ruminant animals are named ruminant, because they have a special chamber of the stomach called the rumen, and that holds a lot of feed. It's the biggest component of the stomach. Okay, then from there we've got another part of the stomach which we call the reticulum. So let's go ahead and write reticulum. And of course we have a basketball-shaped part of the stomach we call the omasum. And then from there, we've got what is known as a the stomach like we have, the simple stomach, called the abomasum. And that's our, like, what we call our true stomach. Okay. So what happens with the cow's stomach? Well, the cow eats grass or feed or hay. So I'm going to just draw a little grass down here on the ground here. And I'm just going to color mine green. You don't have to, but this is green, so I'm just going to color that green. And what happens, the cow starts by eating, and I'm going to draw an arrow going up through the esophagus. Okay, so it goes in through the esophagus and up through, it's green as grass right now, up through the reticulum. Okay, so it's going to go back here, and this is huge. This is a huge section. It's about 30 to 60 gallons of feed. So think about one of those giant aquariums I have in the lab. That's about the size of the reticulum, 30 to 60 gallons of feed. And it's just going to sit in there, and it's going to actually ferment there for days. It'll actually ferment. But when the cow, the cow is going to spit it back up after it's done fermenting. It's going to take a while. And the cow doesn't actually do the work. It actually has bacteria that does that job, that ferments it in its stomach, in the rumen part of the stomach. So there's this, a lot of feed in there. In fact, you can go at Ohio State and other colleges, veterinary colleges, they'll actually have a spot they've sewed into some of the cows so you can access the rumen. So they've actually got a hole that they've cut into it. I'm going to draw a round circle with another circle inside, and you actually can put your whole arm into that spot and pull out the undigested rumen that's in there. So and that process is called fistulation or cannulation. So fistula or cannula. A cannulated cow has a port. It's like a port. They actually put a stopper over it at some points so that they can cover it up, and they can access that to see what the cow's eaten, analyze the microbes inside, like I said, that do the fermentation. There's all kinds of things they can do with that port, and that process is called fistulation or cannulation. So anyway, as the cow has all this rumen inside of it, it'll actually spit it back up. You've probably heard this before, that phrase, a cow chewing its cud. So it'll actually go back down through and spit it out. Okay, all that previously chewed food gets spit out, and the cow will actually re-chew it. It'll pull it back in. So I have like a little, U-turn here back at the grass. It's coming back up through, but this time it'll be pulled in. I'm going to use another color here. This time I'm going to use blue. Okay, it'll actually come back up through the reticulum. So actually right here where it kind of gets mixed in the esophagus and it's re-chewing it, it'll come back down here as a U-turn, and it'll come back up, and that valve in the reticulum will kind of like open up, and it's a honeycomb type valve that sends feed back into the recesses of the other chambers. Okay, so the next chamber is called the omasum, and the omasum is a basketball shape, so I always draw it orange. You can use whatever color you want, but I draw it as orange, and it goes into that, and that's where the water is absorbed at that spot. Now from there, water, after it's been pulled out, it goes into the simple stomach called the abomasum, and the abomasum will actually digest further. Okay, all the other the food, just kind of like our simple stomach. It's going to absorb all the nutrients and so forth, and it's going to be sent on into the intestines and back out through the rectum. So at that point, the cow will have digested its food. Now let's talk about the parts that I quickly went over there. I want to go over some of these parts with you. So the first part we talked about is the rumen. So rumen we put in green. That was the green pathway that we used. Go ahead and jot down that this is the largest compartment. It holds, and it holds, if you heard me right on the video, it holds 30 to 60 gallons of feed or water, okay? You know, there's water content in grass and hay, things that cows are eating. And technically, if you heard me right, fermentation occurs here in the rumen. That's what does the digestion. It's not actually the cow. Fermentation occurs using microbes. There's certain microbes that symbiotically live with cows and other ruminant animals that do the digestion for it. Okay, from there, the next part that we talked about was the reticulum. And the reticulum is a honeycomb shaped or textured, I should say, part of the stomach that was done in blue. So I'm going to circle the rumen in green so you recognize that. Here's a rumen that we used, and the reticulum was blue in my notes. You can use whatever color you want, like I said. And that sends feed that has been rechewed back to the rest of the digestive system. Okay, and the next part we've got that I listed in my notes was the omasum, okay? The omasum. And if you heard me, I colored it orange, so I'm gonna draw it or circle it orange. You know that, again, it's just a way for me to remember the size of it, because the size is the size of a basketball, a lot smaller than the rumen. The size of a basketball. Can I spell basketball? There we go. Size of a basketball. And that absorbs water. So all the water is absorbed in that part of the cow right there. Okay, and the last part, and I don't know if we can fit this on. I'm running out of room, so I think I'm actually going to go to my next page. Okay, if you need to too, that's fine. But this one, go to the top here, is the abomasum, and that's the true stomach. Okay, so the abomasum that we have there is the true stomach. So go ahead and write abomasum. That is the true stomach. I'm going to write in parentheses the true stomach. Sorry, quotations, not parentheses. And you can go ahead and write it similar to our stomach. Acids occur here, or are here to digest nutrients. and then pass food to the small intestines. Okay, so that's the 4 parts of the cow's stomach. You got the rumen, you've got the the reticulum, the omasum, and the abomasum. Now let's take a look at some other, I said animal digestive system. So let's look at some other animals. The other type of system is called a monogastric system. This is much simpler because it is one simple stomach. You should know by now that mono means one, and monogastric animals have one simple stomach. And this is the kind of stomach we have. So for examples, you can put humans and I will say pigs or swine. So we have one simple stomach where it's just acids digesting the food that we've eaten. Same with pigs. So it would look very much like the abomasum, which I probably should, to be consistent, circle in red. Now, there are some monogastric animals that have an in-between digestive tract. So I'm going to say some have an in-between digestive tract. So I'm going to underline that because some of these animals, and the examples that I'm going to talk about, are rabbits and horses. And usually at this point, I'd ask the class if I was taking notes in person. If anyone has a rabbit, and someone will invariably, wait for the bell here. Someone will invariably raise their hand and say, I have a rabbit, and I'll ask them, what do you have to feed your rabbit to make it healthy? And I had a rabbit and know this, and some people have horses, and the answer is hay, okay? Because rabbits and horses have a cecum, and that's similar to a rumen, but it's actually a pouch in the hindgut. Pouch in the hind gut that they have that enables them to eat hay. They need to eat hay, and if they don't have hay, they won't be healthy. So you've got to feed these animals hay. Feed them hay for the microbes that live in the cecum. In the cecum. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the cecum if I can. Just a quick drawing to kind of finish these notes off here. But I'm going to draw a simple stomach. It's not complicated here. So we've got an esophagus, right? And here's our stomach. A little pouch here, stomach. Okay, and a rabbit or a horse. And at the end of their digestive tract, that's why I call it the hind gut, I'm going to draw a little pouch here. A little pouch that goes out into the anus. So this is the esophagus. Here's the stomach. And this is the cecum right here. The cecum, that hind gut. And there's actually little microbes that live inside. There's microbes that live inside the cecum, and they help the horse and the rabbit digest. That's why if you don't feed a horse or rabbit hay, it could make them unhealthy because the microbes will actually help them digest anything that didn't get digested here in the fermentation that occurs there enables them to be healthy as they excrete their food. So that's the basics of nutrition. We've got two types of animals. We've got the monogastric and we've got the ruminant animals. And I'd like you to know humans and pigs are monogastric. We've got rabbits and horses also monogastric, but they have a cecum, so a little different pathway, so that you understand the full nature of animal digestive systems. That's just a quick survey, but the big one is the rumen. Ruminant animals are pretty amazing, and we can access that rumen with fistulation or cannulation. Okay, so this is Mr. Thomas signing off for now. Make sure you get these notes in your notebook so you're prepared for anything that's going to be on our next test or quiz. Hope you guys are doing good, and I'll catch you next time.